Hannah, why don't vegans eat eggs?
What an excellent question, Nikki.
So today we're going to be talking about why we specifically don't eat eggs. We want to make sure that we're not alienating anyone who does still eat eggs but is on a journey to become more plant-based, because we're fighting the same fight. We support you, and this is no shade to our vegetarian friends. We understand and acknowledge that you are also in favor of animal welfare. This is specifically why we don't eat eggs.
And if you're someone who's like, I've been vegan for a million years, I don't need to know this stuff, I actually did like a little bit of research and like kind of refreshed myself when it comes to this topic. And I feel like that's a good thing to do that a lot of vegans don't think is necessary. Sometimes it's easy when society makes something seem so normal, such as eggs, and then you have so many vegans who might consider themselves vegan, but then when they go back to eating animal products, eggs is one of the first things that they eat. And so I feel like it's so important to really, really understand why vegans don't eat eggs.
According to PETA, more than 300 million chickens are used each year for the egg-laying industry. Hens are kept in 24-inch cages that can hold up to 10 hens, each of whom have a wingspan of roughly 36 inches. In nature, a hen may naturally lay 12 eggs per year, but since they've been genetically modified for the egg industry, they can lay up to 300 a year, which is physically taxing and very demanding on their bodies.
They assume we're not killing any animals, and because you're just taking the eggs from the chickens, and no animals have to die, when in fact that is not true at all. A lot of animals do die, for example the male chicks. And then also something that I found out was that all hens, even if they're just egg laying hens, eventually will go to the meat industry when they're done with laying eggs. So hens can live to be like 10 to 15 years old, and when they're done, like when they aren't producing as many eggs, they'll just go straight to the meat industry.
And a lot of times it's used as like kind of scrap meat in canned soups and things like that, because that way you can't see how poor quality the meat is after a lifetime of laying so many eggs at an unnatural rate, which is pretty gross in so many ways, ethically and just in terms of a food product.
It is, and it is an unnatural rate. So the chickens have been selectively bred to produce as many eggs as they do. It's like 350 to 360 eggs a year or something like that. I don't know the exact statistic, but it's an insane amount of eggs that chickens aren't actually like naturally, they wouldn't naturally produce that many. So as a result, they're really deficient in a lot of things. Like
calcium.
they're really calcium deficient. They end up with broken bones really easy from that. So like that's not natural at all. They're in pain too. Like that's one thing that I feel like people don't think about, is that like as women we have periods and they're very painful and they're not fun. At least mine aren't, but like that is what essentially an egg is from a chicken, is that the hen's period. And so when they're having their period that many times, it's painful for them and it's hard for them. Like imagine if that was us and we had to have our period every single week. Like
no, it's crazy, because like I think it's very similar to the dairy industry, where it's just like an offshoot of the meat industry, but also we're commodifying female bodies again, and it's their menstruation, like it's part of their menstruation. And eggs, like they've been bred so poorly, like you've mentioned, and they can have multiple eggs. They can get stuck in their reproductive system, and eventually those chickens are, even if they're free range, which is not even regulated. Like free range can really mean a lot of things. It's not like a government or FDA regulated word, but they can have so many things go wrong, like too many eggs get caught in their system because they've been bred to hyperovulate, and then these chickens are just like thrown away and tossed aside.
Trash,
and in the wild, eggs, whenever chickens lay eggs, they tend to eat the shell around it to replace a lot of those vitamins and nutrients that they lose when making the egg and then for expelling it and laying it.
I love what you said about free range as well. That's something that I feel like a lot of people, when they find out I'm vegan, that's like one of the first things they say is like, oh, you know, I try to eat like vegan, but you know, when I don't, I eat only free range chicken, only free range eggs, and that's like something I think that makes people feel good. And unfortunately, like what I've come to learn is it's just a marketing term. Like it's like you said, it's not regulated whatsoever. Free range can actually mean that they're still in cages.
Exactly.
And that the cages are just 2 to 3 inches bigger than what the average like normal size cage is.
Because you picture free range as like happy chickens running around in a field, and
they're just like frolicking with dandelions, and they're just like
laying an egg. Just
they're
one.
just like, oops, here's your breakfast.
Even they can even still be in like a shed, and there's a window in the shed, and that allows them to stay free range. Like that, in my mind, that's not free range. They're still in a cage. Like that's insane. So yeah, these animals are not living the lives, the happy, healthy lives that the farmers would like you to think that.
That those commercials would like. Have you seen
those commercials? Are so tricky.
The one that's like, we're going outside, baby. I want to like just want to end it all whenever. I'm so mad at those because it's just like, it's just not true.
No.
Yeah. I think it's like a Foster Farms commercial, but yeah, it's not true.
And it perpetuates the cruelty.
It's kind of like, when I think about it, it's kind of like the cruelty-free labeling on products. Unless it's certified cruelty-free, it's not really cruelty-free. Yeah. And it's just like a labeling tool. It doesn't really mean what we would assume in like common vernacular to be cruelty-free or free range.
Brands are getting really smart, really clever. They know that this is what people are looking at. They know that people are, you know, if they are purchasing meat products, they are looking at like, they want to see humane raised. Yes. They want to see like free range or whatever. And same with beauty products. There are a lot of non-cruelty free brands out there slapping vegan on their products, which is so crazy to me, because anybody who understands the full ethics of veganism would understand that it would have to be cruelty free and vegan in order for it to be really actually vegan. Actually vegan. Because
that happened to me, remember, with the shampoo?
Yeah.
I had a shampoo that was like a purple shampoo for when I was blonde, and it said vegan on it, and I was so excited, and I even talked about it in a video that we did together. And it wasn't cruelty free, it was just vegan because it didn't actually have any animal products in it, and I was like, that is not what I thought I was buying at all.
I think with consumerism, like what we all need to be aware of is that connotation of a word and what it legally means are just two completely different things.
That's part of the problem, is there's such a disconnect between what you think you're getting and what you're actually getting. And I think that if a lot of people really saw what their money was going to when they were buying eggs, I don't think, even if they didn't want to fully go vegan, I don't think people would eat eggs. It is such a corrupt industry. And then also, I think when people do say that they eat free range, I think a lot of times they're being a little bit generous, because think about all of those, like that cookie that you had or that brunch that you went to, you know, all of those times that you had restaurant eggs or baked good from somewhere else. Like all of those eggs add up, and they came from somewhere, and were they all really that super high quality that you think you're eating?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Which high quality? LOL.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And another thing that with any kind of egg, if it's like the best egg ever that you just like, it's your pet chicken, you find him on the side of the road, we're ignoring the fact that where are all the male chickens?
Yeah, where are they?
Where are they going?
Yeah. I think that people think, oh, they take the male chickens and they raise them to become chickens for chicken industry. No, not at all. That is so expensive for them. Farmers who are working strictly with egg-laying hens are not going to take the time and money it would take to feed these male hens, give them that's expensive, and it takes a lot of time, and they're not interested in that. So the male chicks do end up getting literally killed, grinded alive.
They do so many things. They like grind them up alive. They put that in cattle feed, which is not regulated, so they're allowed to do that and not tell you.
They put it in chicken feed sometimes.
They feed it back to or they're just, if they don't have like a grinder, they'll just put them in plastic bags and suffocate them and put them inside of dumpsters and just let them die. Like there's a job specifically for egg-laying hens, what's called, I think it's a sexer, and they just look between the legs and throw them out or grind them if they're a dude. And if they're like female, they're a dude. If they're male. If they're female, they're sent off to live the same lives as their mother.
While we're still talking about ethics, I wanted to bring up that I saw a video with Gwyneth Paltrow, and I love Gwyneth Paltrow, but one thing that she said in the video was that she doesn't eat baby animals and she doesn't eat octopus. And her reasoning for the baby animals, you guys can imagine, they're cute and nobody wants to eat a baby anything. And then also the octopus is a very intelligent animal, and so she felt sort of wrong about eating an animal that was so smart. I just think that like eating animals on the basis of whether or not they're cute is just so unethical.
I mean, I wouldn't want to die if I was dumb and ugly.
I know, like
I might be to a lot of people, so they just don't deserve to be brought in this world and killed. Like nothing does.
I mean, especially rated off their cuteness levels, though. Like,
props to her for at least recognizing that she doesn't want to eat certain animals.
A living thing, yeah.
Yeah, like.
She's on her way.
She's on her way.
So don't you feel like that disconnect is so real that you can say, like, oh, I don't eat this one because it's cute, and I don't eat this one because it's smart. And it's like, well, does that mean that if they're not cute and smart, that they're not deserving of life, or that they should feel pain when they don't want to feel pain? That to me is just, and I totally get it. Like, I didn't eat veal before when I was a non-vegan either because of the same thing. And so I think it's not a judgmental comment that I'm making. It's just, totally. It's so evident when you go vegan, and before that you say those things, and I don't think you fully, I don't think you keep going with that thought process.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a troublesome area when we start quantifying someone's right to live. Especially that these chickens aren't just like wild roaming. We're breeding them, we're forcibly breeding them to bring them into this world, torture them, and I mean, people hate when we say torture, but like,
from what I've seen,
forcibly impregnating them, making them live these awful lives, or just like not letting them live naturally and artificially bring them to this world. It's just crazy.
And I also think that people, though, have a harder time empathizing or sympathizing with a bird versus a mammal.
Yeah,
that
was me. Yeah. I honestly I thought that they were not as sentient. I just thought that they weren't as smart. Birds and fish, for sure, was my last two things. I kind of like eased into veganism. Those were my last two things because I just thought, they're not sentient. They don't know what's happening when they die. Like,
we're not around them either.
Yeah, because like when I look into the eyes of like a pig or a cow, I see more of my dog, and then when I like look at a chicken, I don't really like connect as much. But they still 100.
So, I have met a couple chickens. Sounds like I have lots of friends who are chickens, but I've met some chickens, and they're so dog-like. They like to cuddle. They like to be held. They're sweet.
They're smart. They communicate with
it's
each
just
other.
like
they have relationships with each other. Yeah.
When you're seeing chickens, you're seeing them like, you know, in a particular element where you're not really allowed to bond with them. Like, I always tell people when they're interested in adopting a dog from the shelter, I'm like, do not just go walk through the shelter, look at the dogs, and then call it a day. If one looks at all interesting to you, like at all, like you might have a connection with them, get them out of the crate. A lot of times they'll let you have they have a little fenced off little yard or park area that you can do like a little like meet and greet with the dog and get them out of that element. Because like in the shelter, they're in cages. It's scary. There's other dogs barking. It's like,
and that's how we see chickens.
And that's usually how we see chickens, is in a cage with a bunch of other chickens. And like, so they're not in a right state of mind to be like connecting with a human like they would be if you had like,
it's like if all of us were riding on like a really cramped bus. We wouldn't be like having a blast like we do if we're just like if we're just like hanging out having dinner with our close friends.
Yeah,
it's true.
Totally.
But even so, like all animal, this was something for me too with fish. I didn't really think that fish, had the same amount of sentience as a mammal, for example. But then you watch a fish, avoid pain, like flee danger, and you realize it doesn't matter if they think the same way that you do or if they have a certain level of intelligence at all. It matters that they want to live and they don't want to be in pain, and we don't need them for nutrition. So it's like, why are we inflicting and exploiting them, inflicting pain and exploiting them?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you mentioned the fact that we're like breeding this number of chickens. We wouldn't have this many chickens if it weren't for that. And so I know a lot of people that will get chickens as rescues, and they will keep them as pets, which is an amazing thing, because otherwise their destiny is to, be slaughtered or be an egg-laying hen until they are eventually slaughtered. So it is a great thing. But then I've noticed a lot of people, especially in our Facebook group, I saw the conversation come up recently about people who have backyard hens. Are they allowed to eat the eggs? Like, would that still, since those chickens are very loved and taken care of, then would it still be vegan for you to eat their eggs?
Right.
And what do you guys think about that?
No.
Vegans don't eat animal products, and I think I think
well, I think also saying like vegans don't eat animal products can be more like cerebral and dogmatic, whereas like also if you're you can be feeding the eggs back to the chickens. Like, it's just unnecessary. You're not going to have, even if you're like, I have so many eggs, I don't know what to do with them.
Right.
You can use them as fertilizer. You can feed them back to the chickens. There's so many different things. You can compost them. There's just like so many different things you can be doing with those eggs besides eating them. And like also the fact that, I know we're going to go too much into health on this episode, but it's just like not necessary, just as much as like animal meat is not necessary for you to be alive and well.
Yeah.
Same with eggs. And I don't know, this is kind of a side note, so I don't know if I should talk about it, but I do think when you post about eggs, and even if you post about having backyard chickens and you are pretty much plant-based, I think it does kind of promote eggs in a way that encourages other people who aren't in the same situation
100%.
to eat eggs. So even if like I had these chickens and I just had so many eggs, I didn't know what to do with them, I would still not eat them, and I would still not celebrate that, because I know the majority of eggs are not something, the processing and the cultivation of egg-laying hens is just not something I want to support or promote.
Yeah.
And also, when you start taking eggs from the hens, they lay more, and that's kind of how the egg industry started in general. Is they realized that when they take them, the hen will lay more, and then they realized they could exploit that, and that is what led to the egg industry being as big as it is, because it's so consistent. And so it can be a little bit of a slippery slope, I think, when you have backyard eggs, to be like, oh, I'll just take a couple more, and then all of a sudden they're laying more eggs than maybe they naturally would, and then that has effects on the actual animal as well.
Yeah, Earthling Ed has a podcast on this topic that we'll link down below, but he had a really interesting analogy about that, like saying, oh, let's say that we live in a completely vegan world, and everyone's vegan, everything's great, and so-and-so has backyard, or you have backyard chickens that are laying eggs, and you're like, oh, I have so many eggs, and like you're feeding them as many as you can to the chicken, but then you still have some left over, and you're like, I don't know what to do with them, and your friend Susan is like, your neighbor Susan is like, oh, can I actually have some of those eggs? And then you're like, sure, whatever, I'm not using them, you can have the leftover eggs. And then Susan tells Bill, another neighbor, oh yeah, I've been getting eggs from so-and-so, and then Bill comes and he's like, oh, like, can I actually get some eggs as well? And you're like, sure, I have so many, take them. And then this demand happens for the eggs then, where like the whole neighborhood now wants your eggs, and then you're thinking, oh, I can actually make a little side hustle out of this. I have so many eggs, I should start charging people. And then you're back where you started with exploiting the bird. Yeah, and that's not vegan. It's not. So like, I think the big picture of veganism is just period. Don't, pun intended. We don't use animals or animal products. Like, we just don't. Yeah. And so when you start to create a gray area there, it's when it gets confusing to other people.
Yeah. And we're talking about veganism in this Vegan View episode.
Yeah.
There's no shade to the people who are primarily plant-based. We encourage that. We celebrate that.
Right.
But veganism is a social justice movement where you are doing as far as you are able to, the best to exclude animals from food, fashion,
products that you use.
Yeah, anything, like, you're doing your best. And so why in a situation where it's an option, would you choose?
It's not a necessity.
To not do that. It's not a necessity.
Yeah.
And you're fighting for living things who can't speak for themselves, and your actions speak louder than anything you could post about on your vegan page.
Yeah. Right. We talked a little bit about the environmental aspect of it, and that's something I never considered. But the amount of grain that goes to feed the hens that makes these eggs, and the amount of water that goes into growing that grain, it definitely has a huge impact on the environment, and that those resources could be used so much more efficiently and for a better product that doesn't inflict harm on another living being.
And so the only reason, as well, like, when you think about it, it's just like with the meat and dairy industry. If you think about it, all of this costs so much money.
Yeah.
And the reason that they're cheap and affordable, and cheaper than things like Just Egg or tofu scrambles, is because these products are subsidized. That's why they're so cheap. There's so much money that goes into these things. It's not like it's just so easy and natural, whereas like I think that can kind of come across with eggs, because it just feels like the chickens just lay them and
for our use.
And that's why they're so cheap, because it's so easy just to like go take it from the field, and that's like, it's such a simple process. If you look at the way that hens are raised and the amount of like just how they're all crammed in there, and that's really why it's
for
so
profit.
cheap, is because they're sick, they're not taken care of. They live in these sheds a lot of the times where they're crammed in there so much, and then there's so much feces and ammonia, and they tend to get really sick, and instead of caring for them, they kind of just slaughter them. And if they were taken care of properly, it would cost so much more money. So they're really just trying to get the most, bang for their buck, and that's why they're so cheap.
And another thing environmentally, like you were saying, the chicken feces, that can create runoff. And then everyone's like, well, chicken never gave me E. coli. I'm pretty sure it has. These things run off into neighboring fields, other low-income neighborhoods. It is literally so poisonous. It's poisoning other agricultural products, and just like,
why?
If there are animals, where is the poop going? And it's going into bad, like, areas that don't need that poop.
Yeah, a lot of poop. A lot of animals, a lot of poop.
It's an unnatural amount,
Totally unnatural amount. Like, imagine if, like, we never
and we're
did
creating
that.
These
like,
animals.
And the chickens were just, like, roaming free where they want to be. Like, we would never have that problem.
Like this massive runoff from one concentrated area that's just been sitting, and like of course people are getting sick from eating spinach.
I'm pretty sure that chicken though is the number one cause of food poisoning, and then eggs are right after that. So it's not necessarily the healthiest food product either.
You have to like basically nuke your countertops if you cook chicken.
That was like the one thing I hated before I was vegan, was having to make chicken. I like, it's so high maintenance. You have to use different knife than all your other food. You have to use a different cutting board than your other food. And
I remember sterilizing.
Oh my god! And then I was always worried about like not cooking it all the way. Like,
and same thing with easier. And eggs. Don't eat the cookie dough with eggs in it. And like, cookie dough is so good. Come on,
eat it raw.
Don't give me salmonella. How dare you, eggs?
I know.
And I know it's totally possible to get food poisoning eating vegan food, but like I've gotten
to like leave it out.
I've gotten food poisoning twice, and it was before I was vegan. And since I've been vegan, I have not gotten food poisoning or like any kind of semblance of food poisoning.
Yeah. Same. It's definitely a easier way of eating. I think a lot of times people think that going vegan is going to be so hard, and it definitely can be. Don't feel bad if it has been sort of a rough transition. It's definitely an adjustment. But I think what was helpful for me is realizing how much simpler it can be, and cooking in general was one of those things that just I really simplified everything when I went vegan, and it made a huge difference.
Well, it just feels more natural in a weird way too. It's like everything that you're cooking you can eat raw, and it's not going to make you sick.
Yeah.
Whereas like
you don't have to cook the shiz out of it to like eat it.
Right? It's kind of weird when you think about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you might be thinking, well, okay, I don't want to eat eggs, but then what do I eat? There are so many vegan options that are really delicious, and I know when people suggest tofu scramble, everyone's eyes kind of like roll back because they think they don't like tofu. And to that, I will say, if you think you don't like tofu, imagine it like chicken. Think of the difference between chicken, like fried chicken versus chicken sausage versus chicken nuggets versus boiled chicken. It all is about how you prepare it and season it. So you can't have had boiled chicken and then say you don't like fried chicken, because it's almost a completely different thing. It's a very versatile food animal, really, being, but I don't want to say it again. It can be very versatile, and tofu is like that as well. So if you have had it and you didn't like it, I would urge you guys to try it in a different way, because it can be epically delicious.
Right. I've had some really bad tofu scrambles, and I've had some really, really good ones. It's all like, and just like people like to eat their eggs differently, you might want to just play around and see how you like your tofu scramble. You might like it a little more runny. You might like it a little more chunky. You might like more seasoning. If you like it to taste like eggs, you can add black salt. And that will make it taste like eggs.
My thing is texture. So even when I ate scrambled eggs, I always put cheese in it, because I never wanted it to really taste like eggs. And so I do that with my tofu scramble. And a lot of times when you're making a vegan version, you forget to just do it the exact same way that you did before. So I was leaving out the cheese. And then I realized actually that really adds to the flavor and to the richness and to the texture. So I always add vegan shredded cheese to my tofu scramble, as well as nutritional yeast.
I was going to say nutritional yeast adds that like umami flavor to tofu.
Even if you don't like
scrambles.
nutritional yeast, which my mom doesn't, but when I make tofu scramble, she loves it. And I also put salsa and spinach through my tofu scramble, so you get those onions and tomato flavors without having to like chop a million things.
Yeah.
And a proper amount of salt is important.
And I've done some like chickpea scrambles, and I have a pesto tofu scramble. Anything like savory for breakfast will really satiate that like need for eggs.
Yeah.
And just egg is working on becoming cheaper than eggs, and it's delicious, and it's literally mung beans.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. There's this guy who recreated it, and you can make it from scratch by just like.
Liz did too.
Oh my gosh,
hers
so cool.
looked so good. I'll link that below because she did a whole egg
and I'll
video.
link this guy too because he like explains like what it's made out of and like how it looks like eggs. So it's really neat. So it's not like a weird thing. Everyone thinks like vegan substitutes are plastic and you can't eat it because you're gonna just like eat plastic, but it's made out of plants, guys.
Yeah,
and it's delicious.
And Follow Your Heart has one too. They
Yes.
have like a egg substitute type of product. But another thing you can do if you feel like you don't want any like tofu, you don't like tofu or you can't have tofu for whatever reason. I've done a scramble before with just like mixed vegetables and tempeh. And it's so good for breakfast. Like it definitely you can put like salsa in it and season it a certain way. You can do like a sauce, like a barbecue sauce or something.
And you can do like a black bean hash or a white
I was about
bean
to say
scramble.
do like a hash that's also satiating and savory.
And then there's breakfast burritos and breakfast sandwiches and even avocado toast. If you put a little bit of olive oil and some salt and seasoning, you can get that really savory, satiating breakfast option without having to use an egg.
Totally.
And it has fiber in it. Yeah. Eggs do not.
And then if you're interested in eggs for baking, if you're like somebody who uses that a lot for baking, there's also a lot of options. I know people use applesauce. They also use aquafaba.
Mashed banana, flax egg,
chia egg,
substitute, chia egg,
egg replacer. There's so many egg replacers. Literally just Pinterest. Egg substitutions, and there's one for like every single need. If you need a crepe, one for a crepe. If you need one for a cake. If you need one for a muffin, there's the options are endless.
There was a minimalist baker sugar cookie recipe that my cousin and I made over Christmas, and it had a 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree, and I thought for sure it
would taste like pumpkin.
I thought it would taste like pumpkin. I thought it would be kind of orangey, and pumpkin can be a little bit bitter sometimes. So I was like, this is a sugar cookie. I want it to taste like a sugar cookie. It was one of the best sugar cookies I've ever had, so I'll link that recipe below. You can't taste it at all, but it really did help to bind. She did that and then a little tiny bit of cornstarch, and the combination of the two really held the cookie together really nicely. It was so good.
Yeah, for baking you want viscosity, so things that are like creamy and gooey.
Because it binds all the ingredients together.
Yeah, like this.
See? All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode and that you found it helpful. We would like to know why you don't eat eggs, or if you have any questions, things that you want clarified, or if you have any studies or information that you want to share with us, we'd love to start a discussion in the comments, so leave that down below. Make sure you check out our individual channels that are also linked in the description box, as well as our Facebook group, and we will see you guys in a video next Monday. Bye!
Bye!